I love Chris Philp doing the morning interview rounds. He's so nervous and so panicky. It doesn't lend any credibility to what he's actually saying. And on that point, I can't really decide whether he actually believes what he's saying or if he's just repeating the line that has been fed to him. Because he does tend to seem to mess up quite a bit, or forget his lines, or just babble, like he does here.
But you're here to represent the government. You can't say that the government is committed to extending the line to Manchester as planned.
Well, I can tell you that work on the line is ongoing at the moment. It is being built, and, those trains are going to go very fast, from London going north as soon as the line is finished.
You can see that there's a possibility that it won't go to Manchester.
Well, they look at phasing occasionally, but I don't know, to be honest. As a Home Office Minister, I don't know exactly what they're looking at. You need to talk to the Treasury or the Department for Transport. Well, we're working on building HS2 at the moment. There are spades in the ground, there's track being laid, tunnels are being tunnelled underneath various bits of the track on the route. That work is underway.
But the main reason for the video is what he's saying on immigration. The Conservatives are now in full panic mode. With Keir Starmer going over to The Hague, it shows not only does the UK think it's going to be a new government, but also international leaders too. Therefore, they have supercharged their propaganda machines this morning, trying to claim that Labour are going to take in 100,000 immigrants every year. There's no basis for this, it's just literally a figure they pulled out of thin air, because it sounds scary. If there were to be any return agreement, the figure would be more in line around about 30,000. And that's according to the Member States Charter, which I'll put a link to in the description. Even so, that could be up for debate or negotiation. And in contrast, we've already had 20,000 crossing the small boats this year, with a total of around about 47,000 last year. And that's just adding to the figures that they haven't even processed. No wonder we've got such a big backlog. So what I've done is put these two clips together so you can see the government panicking and the response from Labour.
By contrast, we see Labour proposing this open door policy, doing a deal with the European Union that would see 100,000 of Europe's illegal immigrants being shipped over to the UK, and I don't think bringing over 100,000 or more of Europe's illegal immigrants over here is what the British public want to see. We don't want Keir Starmer's open door policy.
They say that number is nonsense, and they say the fact the government is putting that number out is embarrassing. They're talking about a tailor-made deal, and isn't a deal, a returns deal, exactly what Rishi Sunak was seeking with the EU. Just last month, Downing Street said the Prime Minister remained open to taking forward negotiations on an UK-EU returns deal, but the EU rebuffed him.
Not with quotas in the way that Keir Starmer is proposing. And if you look at the...
hang on. We don't know the details of what he's proposing.
They've got a deal with Rwanda. We're hopeful, I'm expecting that will get approved by the Supreme Court, and that will provide a huge deterrent effect, because why would you cross the channel if you're going to end up going to Rwanda? We've seen the deterrent effect working with the Albania deal. We've seen it work in Australia 8 or 9 years ago. And yet, Keir Starmer proposes to scrap the Rwanda deal, even though we can see that it's going to work.
Well, we don't know yet whether it will work or not, because Labour is also promising to end the use of hotels for asylum seekers if they got into power and help clear the backlog of cases. Labour has a point, doesn't it, that it would save a lot of money if we actually process these people rather than keeping in this accommodation.
Well, where are they going to put the 100,000 people they intend to ship over from Europe under their plan that Keir Starmer announced? I mean, that's going to make the hotel problem worse, not better.
100,000 people.
Well, if you look at the way the proposed European asylum scheme works, the UK's share of that would be about 13%.
What we're clearly not talking about, which the Conservatives have been talking about, is joining the EU asylum dispersal scheme for member states that involves quotas and things like that. Nobody's proposing that. We are not member states. We're not a member state, and we're not going to be a member state. So that has just been totally made up by the Conservatives. It's just total nonsense.
And if the government says by doing a deal with the EU, the Home Secretary is saying that Labour wants to hand Brussels the keys to our immigration system.
Yeah, and you see, this is just total garbage. They are making it up because their system isn't working. And because they've failed, they've literally allowed the criminal gangs to take control of our borders rather than us having proper border security and a proper system that works.
Chris Philp is no stranger to car crash interviews, and the best one I think I've seen him do is in the video that's on screen now. So make sure you check that out, because it's pretty funny. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.